When you open your eyes, do you know what you're seeing? Of all the properties that objects appear to have, shape, texture, weight, it is color that hovers uneasily between the subjective world of sensation and the objective world of fact. Our perception of color is an ancient and philosophical problem. In 1858, William Gladstone was writing about Homer's Odyssey when he came across a passage where Zeus used his lightning to strike a ship sailing on the wine-dark sea. He noticed that this wasn't the only strange color description. Though the poet spends page after page describing the intricate details of clothing, armor, weaponry, and more, his references to color are strange. Sheep are violet and honey is green. So Gladstone decided to count the color references in the book. And while black is mentioned almost 200 times, and white about 100, other colors are rare. Red is mentioned fewer than 15 times, and yellow and green fewer than 10. Gladstone looked at other ancient Greek texts and noticed the same thing. There was never anything described as blue. The word didn't exist. It seemed to him that the Greeks were colorblind and lived in a murky and muddy world devoid of color, mostly black and white with occasional flashes of yellow or red. He concluded that this was something unique to the Greeks, but a philologist named Lazarus Geiger noticed that this was true across all cultures. He studied Icelandic sagas, the Quran, ancient Chinese stories, and an early Hebrew version of the Bible. He wrote that the subject evoked more than any other is that of the heavens, the air and the ether, clouds and lightning, again and again, but in 10,000 mentions there is one thing that no one would ever learn from an ancient text, and that is that the sky is blue. Geiger looked to see when blue started to appear in languages, and found an odd pattern all over the world. Every language first had a word for black and for white. The next word for a color to come into existence in every language was red, the color of blood and danger. After red, historically, yellow appears, and later, green. The last of these colors to appear in every language is blue. The only ancient culture to develop a word for blue was the Egyptians. They were also the only culture that had a way to produce blue dye. Though we can't know what was going through Homer's brain when he described the wine-dark sea and the violet sheep, we do know that ancient Greeks and others in the ancient world had the same biology and therefore the same capability to see color that we do. They just didn't have the words. Native Russian speakers have two distinct words for light and dark blue, and can pick out differences in shades faster than English speakers. The Himba tribe in Namibia does not have a separate word for blue, and when shown a blue object next to a green object, cannot identify the difference. They do, however, have more words for green than we do, and can pick out the differences in shades of green that a native English speaker would struggle to see a difference in. In the Torres Strait Islands, between New Guinea and Australia, lives a small group of islanders. When asked about the sky, elders describe it as black, and children describe it as dark, like dirty water. Researchers concluded that they see all of the colors that we see, but that black is a larger term for the islanders than for us, that they see blue simply as a hue of black, not worth inventing a special word for. But scientists believe that it is not just a simple case of nomenclature. The islanders indeed perceive the sky a bit darker than we do. When we get used to seeing two hues as different colors, language trains us to see them as different entities, and the brain then exaggerates these differences, especially at the border areas between them. And thus blue, which we perceive as a lighter and totally distinct color from black, is in reality probably a bit darker and closer to black. In a sense, the obvious distinction between black and blue is a figment of our imagination. This suggests the possibility that not only did Homer lack a word for what we know as blue, he might not have ever perceived the color itself. To him, the sky really was bronze, and the sea really was the same color as wine. And because he lacked the concept blue, therefore its perception, to him it was invisible. The way we see the world is an illusion, a trick played on us by none other than our own brain. So if the sky isn't blue, and not a single person on Earth experiences color the same way, do any of us actually know what we're seeing?